The Knight of Wands is a really powerful and passionate card, showing this knightly figure appearing to be moving really fast throughout this sky, emblazoned by the warmth of the sun behind him. On the Rider-Waite deck we can see something a little bit more sedate, and yet the knight appears to be surveying the area with a confidence that he is travelling in the right direction, and he's making quite strong strides towards it, holding the wand in his hand, a symbol of his passion here. And it seems to be quite a stoic and wise knight, and indeed these cards, these knight's cards, can be found in the Sephiroth of Shokmar in the Tree of Life, and this is associated with wisdom. And here on the Knight of Wands, it's the wisdom of gathering this raw power that we saw with the Ace of Wands and putting it out there. So it's like saying, get up on your feet and make something happen, and you have to have the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding that inspiration is coming into us in order to actually make it work. Otherwise inspiration could be coming from all over and we can't recognise it. And so that's what we're seeing there with that. The horse is going to be the main symbol upon this, and it really does look like it's galloping at some speed towards its goal, and we can see a crest upon the horse, and this, as well as the horse itself, is said to represent the energy of Mars. And if we think about Mars in terms of astrology, we can see many similarities to the actual meaning of the Knight of Wands card. And so Mars is all about passion and determination in terms of its astrological characteristics. Its energy is, like we were just saying, about standing up and getting things done. It's really inspiring us with confidence and saying we have got the power to go out and put energy into things. But of course, on the other side of that, it can venture over into a type of aggression or wrath, a sort of animal instinct, the instinct of fighting and survival to get away from things which of course would stop us from manifesting our will, and so it could be positive or negative based upon the actual situation. And yet, so the horse here is that Mars energy, inspiring the rider upon it, and in fact actually carrying the rider away with it, because we can see here that the horse has so much energy that the rider is actually hanging on to the reins for dear life. He hasn't actually got full control over this horse, and this is a really interesting symbol upon this card. It suggests that the energy may be difficult to tame, to rein in, and so the energy may be somewhat impulsive, which is something that we see with the Mars energy, of which the horse encapsulates. And indeed, this card represents a masculine energy, and so it can be a very brave and indeed revolutionary card associated with invention and finishing tasks and things like that, and yet it can easily tip the balance into a hot temper, for example, or a type of aggressiveness. And so this horse is a real free spirit, but it's important to keep control of the reins and to stop it from taking our rider perhaps on a journey of which he didn't want to go on, or didn't mean to actually embark upon. The card is full of fire, however, and so it's really showing the fire of passion. He is actually clothed in a cloak of flame, a cloak of fire, and there's other flame symbols as well which we will come to. And so his actual cloak is suggesting that if we rode this horse, the cloak would billow out behind us, and so he's leaving this trail of fire. He's literally a trailblazer. He is going forward, cloaked with the fire of passion, the fire of energy, and he's holding in his hands a large wand, of which actually represents the Ace of Wands, and in fact the energy here is quite similar. The symbol of the wand here connects to the groin area, and it's a phallic symbol. It's a clear representation of the energy of the phallus, even the way the actual hand is placed upon this wand, and it's out in front of him because it is bursting forth with the very fast-flowing creative seed of life itself, and perhaps that's what he is actually driving towards here. We can see the horse's mane and his hair, which again appear like flames, are coming forward in the same direction as the phallic symbol and of the rest of the trajectory of the horse, and so there's a wind at his back. It's not fighting against him. He's being carried effortlessly throughout this environment, and so returning to the phallic symbol there, it's suggesting that race to be the seed that will manifest, that will, in this regard, impregnate the earth, and indeed his cloak symbol could be traced into a very rough shape of a pyramid, and we can see pyramids upon the Rider-Waite card as well. This is the pregnant earth and is our dualistic counterpart to this very masculine energy that we have on this card. So we can see that, of course, the end goal and the only way it's actually going to be manifested at all is if its counterpart is actually impregnated with this creative seed. Now, it's a particularly powerful one, this, because the Knight of Wands is often associated with going on a journey, and we can see here on the tail of the horse these flames, and there are actually 7 flames visible here upon the horse's tail, and these are the 7th Sephiroth upon the Tree of Life, of which is Netzach, and this is the centre of the instincts and the emotions that come up in our hearts because of the instincts that we have, and it's often a very pure and extremely creative energy, and yet because of that it's a bit all over the place. It can flourish in illusion and it can be out of balance. It's an energy that needs to be harnessed and taken control of, just like we can see upon the horse. And so indeed, if we actually look again just to trace this onto the flames at the end of his wand, we can see 8 flames upon the wand. And so this is the next Sephiroth over from Netzach, the 8th of which is Hod. And so this is the counterbalance. This brings intellect and logic and a sense of structure to that creative energy that we've actually got. And so Hod here is concerned with the formulation of form, of manifestation. It's about taking the will and the intellect and changing it into something that physically exists. And so as a phallic symbol, this is perfect for Hod, because that's what it is. It's a very masculine energy, and it's all about giving form and bringing that seed of life into things. And so Netzach and Hod are deeply connected, and they're like a couple. And so let's have a look at this Knight of Wands going on a journey, which is one of the main symbols upon the Knight of Wands. It looks like he is travelling, of course, here from right to left in a somewhat diagonal looking pattern upon the card. And so behind him is the tail of the horse, of which is Netzach, that raw, furious energy of passion, and he's moving through that towards Hod, the next energy, to give it form. And so if we look at these as time and place, or we could also look at them as force and form, so they come together in balance and harmony, and either of them without the other is of course out of balance and therefore doesn't quite work. And so the actual journey this horse and rider are going upon is one of the paths upon the Tree of Life. It's actually the 27th path, Netzach to Hod, and we can read about this actually within the Yetziratic text as follows. The 27th path is the active or exciting intelligence, and it is so called because through it every existent being receives its spirit and motion. And I think that's actually a rather beautiful depiction of the Knight of Wands in itself, and the many different things of which it can actually mean. It's actually quite a simple card. It really is that getting up and going forth upon this journey through life, and we can see this echoed again upon the reins on the horse. If we have a look at the mouthpiece upon these reins, it has a sun image upon it, and up from there, on near the eye or near the where the ear would be on the horse, is what looks like a moon symbol. Now it's actually the horse crest that we've seen before, and yet the crescent underneath, as formed by the wings, also forms the crescent moon. I'm going to return to those wings in a moment. But for now, let's just stay with this. This represents the path that we should be looking at. The moon here is the intuition and the intellect, and in many regards the way of which we feel about things. And so that's that spark of a creation of an invention, which is something this card can represent, that spark that comes into our mind that says, hey, that hasn't been done before, and we have to put it down into action, into the mouth area where the sun comes out. So we have to speak in light and beauty and truth, our intentions and our intuitions. We have to put them into being, shout them out into the world in a form of which is bathed in light and truth. Otherwise, you're speaking in illusions. And so that winged horse as well shows up upon the crown of the helmet upon the knight as well. And so that's in the space of Samadhi, the enlightened mind, or the space of Kether on the Tree of Life. This is the formless, pure area where the spirit is housed upon these designs often. And a winged horse, that's a beautiful image. It's a very powerful symbol. We often associate it with Pegasus in Greek art and literature. It was about the immortality of the soul, and so of reaching new heights with this type of awareness of our nature and our true will in many regards. And in more contemporary images, Pegasus is all about poetic inspiration, and it's about that finding wonder and beauty in the world in that way. And so again, it's talking about grabbing hold of those reins of something to inspire us, something to drive us on our journey. And because we have to speak in the sun, it has to be virtuous and pure and formed out of light, this journey. And when we do that, when we put everything together, we connect Netzach and Hod and all the rest of that type of thing, our journey is going to move along very, very quickly. In fact, the wind is going to be at our back, like we can see upon this card, and we will be bathed in a cloak of flame, of which is connected to us, and so it's going to travel with us. It's all going to be very sudden, this energy, when we actually put everything together. And so it's really a bit like all the parts have come together, all the cogs have been slotted in, and now they're starting to turn. Things are starting to move forward, and that's really the energy of the Knight of Wands card here on the Thoth deck.